Caleb Calhoun is absolutely wrong. Caleb, you said that the regular season would not be as good because of the college football playoff. Are you willing to back off that?
No. And let's set this up real quick. So for those who don't know, Alabama and Georgia had the highest rated CFP game. I'm not college football regular season game since Alabama Florida State in 2017. So 7 years. Impressive. Okay. I think it's the novelty of the college football playoff and the expanded playoff that's going to make the regular season very exciting. So you guys have all missed what I've said from this. And I've told you guys, college football, I quoted Shannon Terry on this, is in the second inning of a rocket ship launching to the moon. He said that back in the spring. So I would say we're in about the fifth inning now. Okay. So we're in the fifth inning. The rocket ship's halfway up. Hasn't hit the moon yet, but it will hit the moon, and it will be at the moon for about 2-3 years, where you will have an amazing playoff, and so many people will be watching the regular seasons, and it'll be super exciting. Then in about year 3 or year 4, when the lesser teams realize that there's no point for them to go to the playoff because they're going to get blown out, when the top teams realize they're going to the playoff no matter what, you will see interest dwindle in the regular season. And I actually have a great precedent for this, one that I've used a lot. In 2004, because they thought they could compete with the NFL in the fall, which was stupid, NASCAR decided to start the Chase Cup, the playoff. And interest in NASCAR peaked in 2004, 2005, and 2006, right when they started the Chase Cup. It was through the roof. It had never been as entertaining before as ever. Everybody was going to races. They were loading up TV networks. They made movies based on this. It was doing amazing. But slowly but surely, the races before the Chase Cup got further and further devalued, and people more and more started to realize that the Daytona 500 doesn't matter anymore. Okay, and 10 years later, NASCAR is darn near dead because people don't care about the regular races in the summer.
Okay, and you don't think that's going to happen in college football playoff, though? The college football, though? I mean,
it won't happen for me because I love college football. I fear that it'll happen to the regular season in college football. I absolutely fear college football regular season is going to go the way of NASCAR.
Okay, so I covered a lot of NASCAR. I've covered races at Bristol, Talladega, Atlanta. I feel like I'm forgetting one, but there are all kinds of things that you're leaving out, Caleb. I mean, there are all kinds. I mean, that was previously Dale Earnhardt Sr. was still with us. He was a big draw. Then the battle back and forth between Jeff Gordon, the going to the, what was it called, guys? You can help me on the message board. Car of Tomorrow, or whatever the heck they did, where all the cars had to be the same. They took the personalities out of it. They didn't like drivers fighting. No, I think you're oversimplifying things to the nth degree. I mean, an incredible degree there.
I don't think I am. I think I've nailed it. Because first of all,
let me ask you this. Major League Baseball has a silly playoff, does it not?
It is the stupidest playoff.
Okay, but it's gotten people talking. That little 3-game thing, that the next gen car. Thank you, James. They've gotten people talking. People care about who wins a 3-game series now. I think it's silly. I think what the NBA does with the play-in game is silly too, but it helped them as well. So if you want to cite NASCAR, even though I don't think it's a good example, I think there are a lot of things wrong with NASCAR. I will give you some of that. They wanted to take some of the dollars away from football, which is why they created, in television ratings, they created the Chase for the Championship, because basically NASCAR would fall off the map when football started because it's the same audience. But you're right. That lessened the importance of the races before. And I think if they could go back, they would undo that. But that's like, I mean, that's like saying that, there are a ton of problems there. I'm trying to think of a good analogy, but, that's just, I don't think that's a good one. I think there are a lot of issues.
Okay. So you brought up baseball and basketball. Now, you have me with the MLB regular season attendance being the highest in 7 years this year. I don't think that's because of the new playoff gimmick, though. I actually think it's because they actually sped up the game because of the
I
new
agree.
rules. I think that baseball and NBA are great examples. When's the last time you sat and watched a full regular season baseball or NBA game?
Some this year. I've enjoyed baseball and the fact that guys are moving and there's more action because of the pitch clock. I know I have. I've definitely watched. I've sat and watched a full game, and
Do you acknowledge that it carries very little weight, though, unlike what it used to?
well,
I
it
think
never carried a lot of weight because it was 162 games. No one game carried a lot of
Oh,
weight.
I think it did. Look, I think baseball made a cardinal sin dating back to the 90s when they created the wild card. I think the creation of the wild card in baseball devalued the regular season ever since then. They should have stuck with 2 teams in each league, play a semifinals to get to the World Series, period, end of story. That's how it should have been done. Baseball went 100 years. I mean, not 100. They went 100 years with no wild card, and they became America's national pastime. Then they created the wild card. Now they're just the past. And I mean, again, it is, and some people on the message board with NASCAR are bringing up the political stuff and the Bubba Wallace stuff and things like that. I'm not going to comment on that, but what I will say is that NASCAR had already tanked in popularity before that, guys. And
Yeah, well, and James nailed it too. James apparently is a NASCAR fan, and I used to cover it, but that's been many years ago. He says NASCAR teams can only make minimum changes. There's one manufacturer that builds the chassis and 3 engine builders. That is exactly right. Now, I guess I'll back your point a little bit. Why did they do the college football playoff?
they wanted to, they were tired of giving away ratings in December to the NFL.
Well, no, but ultimately, why did they do it?
Money.
Okay. It's the same thing with NASCAR. NASCAR did that because they now make the cars through their own contracts as opposed to you go out and do it yourself. So they did that under the guise of, hey, we're going to make it all equal. So it's all about the driver. BS. They wanted to bring the car building in-house and make money off that, which is what they've done. So to strengthen your point, greed was the seed for that, and greed is the seed for college football and the college football playoff.
Yes, and it will benefit in the short term because of the novelty, but it will collapse. I do think in 10 years, I don't think college football will be bringing new fans into the fold. And okay, take Tennessee out of it because we cover Tennessee. So we remember the special moment of the 22 Tennessee-Alabama game because we cover it, Dave. But I want to ask you this honestly, not including Tennessee. What's the last special regular season college football game you watched that you're like, that will just stick with me forever because that moment was just so special?
I mean, last week, right? Georgia, Alabama.
That moment's not going to stick with you forever. You're going to forget that when the playoff happens. What is one that you can't go this year? What is one that is etched in your memory? Because here's my point. The 2013 Iron Bowl, the Alabama-Auburn kick 6 that Chris Davis ran back, Dave, that's etched in my memory forever. It's one of the greatest moments in the history of any sport. You're never going to get that again in college football. And so that's my problem. That happened all the time before that. 2012, Johnny Football going to Tuscaloosa and beating Alabama. It's etched in my memory. No one's going to remember. All of that's pre-playoff. Notice that?
Yeah, but again, I don't think. Listen, I'll give you some on baseball and the NBA, but I just think NASCAR is a bad example. I think they mucked that thing up so bad that, the other thing that NASCAR did is they undervalued the fact that they had a product that was an offshoot to the men 25-54. They undervalued their appeal there. I thought they undervalued themselves, and they undervalued the television contract. They thought that no matter where they went, kind of like the NHL does this every once in a while, no matter what television contract they go to, that everything's going to be good. But we know networks don't work like that, Caleb.
No, they don't. And you're right. There are a lot of other things that go on with NASCAR that I can't speak to. I can speak to that from just a broad sense, but I can look at that happening, and I can look at sports that value their regular season. What's the last Duke UNC basketball game regular season etched in your memory?
Well, I would say almost every one. I mean, but that again, I don't think that's a good example because that typically lives.
You're making my point. Like, none of these games, college football, this was what set college football apart from every other sport. Was every Saturday, was the magnitude was through the roof. And people say in the moment the Alabama Georgia magnitude was through the roof. That's a sugar high. So the point of this, the reason we're having this conversation, guys, if you just joined like midway through, is because Alabama Georgia was the highest rated regular season game since 2017, which suggests that the expanded playoff increases the interest in the regular season. I'm saying that's a sugar high. I'm saying that's a sugar high, and it's not going to last.
Okay, I'll respectfully disagree.